Hi, this is Pearl and welcome to my channel. Today I have my 2020 Project Life week 9 for you, and I'm using the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit. Now I had been putting off doing this week because this is the week that my mother passed away, and so I decided to do a layout with an insert, and the insert I'm going to keep private because that's about my mother passing away. But I did do the rest of the events from that week on this 2-spread layout. So I'm using the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, and I'm using the One Canoe 2 date stamp, and I'm using Stays on Black ink because that stamps well on 2 photos and doesn't smear. So I'm going with the first photo, and this is of my parents at the mall here in San Diego. They had come back down to San Diego even though they had just been here over the weekend because my dad's iPhone was acting up. So I'm using a Zebra Sarasa vintage dark gray pen. I like to use gray ink when I'm journaling so it's not as stark black. And I wrote on this card, even though mom and dad had just been in San Diego for Kaya's dance competition, they came back on Monday because dad was having problems with his new iPhone. We spent time at the Apple store, and I went to pick Kaya up from pre-K, then went back to the Apple store to pick up my parents. It took them a while to get that fixed with his phone. They ended up just giving him a new one when they couldn't fix it. So this next picture is of my son reading to my daughter, and on the print and cut label that Studio Calico sells to match their kits, I wrote, "Is there anything that's sweeter than this?" and then use the date stamp and a tiny attacher to attach that to the photo. Now, this is a Studio Calico label that came in one of the kits, I don't know, a long time ago, maybe even a couple years ago. And I just put that on top and wrote, "Kaya learned to do her own ponytail." And that's a big deal for us because she always has to have her hair in a ponytail or a dance bun for dance. And she dances 5 days a week, so that's a big deal. Now this photo is a picture of, or an illustration of, the things that Kaya needed to improve on for her dance competition. And her instructor, Miss Mindy, had drawn some stick figures, and so she was redrawing them in her own artistic way. And I thought that was so cute that I wanted to just leave that there. Now this picture is of my son, and he has a note from the dentist that he was being late for school and being excused. Now on this particular journaling card, I used the Nuvo drops, and I used a yellow color. I can't remember exactly what color it is, but I'll have it linked down below. And I wrote about cleaning everything and how no matter how often it seems that I do laundry, it's like never ending. And that's a picture of my laundry hamper right there. And on this Remember This card, while my mom was in the hospital, it was my baby brother's 45th birthday, and I wrote, "Eric's 45th birthday happened to occur while mom was in the hospital. Of course, we were too distracted to do anything special for him. Mom's nurse that day brought a piece of cake and cheesecake for Eric from the cafeteria." Some people can be so thoughtful. I thought that was so nice of her to do that for my brother. And on the story of right now, highs, lows, and everything in between, I wrote, "After I dropped the kids off at school, I was talking to Roy as I was driving home. I noticed that Dad was calling, but I thought he was returning my call, so I didn't answer. Wrong decision. When Dad tried calling Roy, we knew something was up. The story I got was that Mom had gone to the hospital because she fell in the shower. Roy then called and said Mom was in the ER. I drove to the hospital and come to later find out Mom had a massive hemorrhagic stroke. I got her admitted to 8100 where Kathy was team leading." Kathy is a good friend of mine, and this is the hospital where I used to work in the trauma surgical ICU. So we were able to get her admitted to that unit so that my girlfriend, who was a team leader, could give us the best nurses and the best care. And for most of the time that we were there, we had the room to ourselves, which is because of Kathy, and I thank her so much. Now this next picture is a picture of me holding my mom's hand while she was in the hospital. And I'm using the Kokyo adhesive that I love so much, and I'm putting that over spring break because, of course, spring break isn't going to be for a while, at least for my kids. And I'm using her stamps and using the story of right now, and I'm using that with VersaFine ink because it does great detail stamping, and this is the black onyx. I'm going to stamp that right on the top there. And then I wrote, Mom was admitted to 8100 SICU. She had a neck brace, was intubated, had IV lines, and a drain in her head. She was not responsive. I was scared, but reminded myself that she was heavily medicated, one day at a time. So I have this layout here like this, but I also have an insert that I'm not going to be sharing because it's too personal, of my family saying goodbye to my mom. She did end up passing away at the end of the week. So that is my layout. I'm trying to decide about chipboards and other embellishments that came with the kit, and I always forget to use them, and by then I was done with this week. It was too emotionally charged, I guess, because I was dealing with the death of my mother, and I had been putting this off for so long. So there you have it, my week 9 of my Project Life album. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.